Hello everyone, welcome back to the Shea Station YouTube channel. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jolly Olive, doing it solo today to talk about the Omar Narvaez signing with the New York Mets, a one-year deal with a player option worth $15 million. There's been a lot of different opinions about this, mostly confused opinions from what I've seen, because the Mets now carry 4 catchers on their 40-man roster in James McCann, Tomas Nido, Francisco Alvarez, and now Omar Narvaez. So what's the reasoning for this signing? When you look at Omar Narvaez's baseball reference page, the numbers don't really jump off, especially from last year. The guy only had a 71 OPS plus, and OPS itself under 600, just 4 home runs in 84 games. But he was a 2021 All-Star, and that was mostly attributed to a really good first half where he had 8 home runs, a 300 batting average, a 134 OPS plus. Those were all second in the National League behind Buster Posey. Ever since that first half ended last year, things have kind of gone awry for Omar Narvaez, and he even said himself that he felt his time in Milwaukee was done at the end of last year. So the Mets spent $15 million on a guy that's been slumping for a year and a half to presumably complicate the catching position. Well, I don't think it's as simple as that. I think there's some nuance to this decision-making, probably some latter decisions that we don't really know about yet. One that many are alluding to, which could very well be a possibility, is that the Mets have found a suitor for James McCann via trade. James McCann's due to make $12.15 million in each of the next 2 seasons. I'm assuming if the Mets have found a trade partner for McCann, they're going to be eating most of that salary, and it makes sense, probably pairing him with a prospect of some sort. But they've been aggressive, per Michael Mayer, in their attempts to deal catcher James McCann, so that could be the avenue we're looking at. Also, Narvaez, I think, fits as a bridge for the catcher position itself for Francisco Alvarez. I think it's a lot of pressure for a 21-year-old kid to immediately assume the catching position and catch legends of the game like Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer, and also, some of the new guys that are very established like Jose Quintana and, of course, Carlos Carrasco. That's a lot of pressure for a kid who's never really caught at the big league level. He caught 1 game last year at the tail end of the season. So I'm sure the Mets want to ease him into that role and not really kind of throw him into the fire and expect greatness, because even with someone as talented as Francisco Alvarez, you want to put them in the best position possible to succeed at the big league level. And that could mean Alvarez would be DHing for a little bit as our right-handed power bat, because I'm assuming that that's not going to be Darren Ruff after the showing we saw last season. I don't know about you guys, but a platoon at DH between Daniel Vogelbach against righties and Francisco Alvarez against lefties is something that I'm very much interested in. But yeah, getting back to Narvaez himself, he's actually improved defensively a lot. When he got to Milwaukee from Seattle, he was one of the worst pitch framers in baseball of all catchers, and they must have done serious work on him to get him to where he is now. Since the year 2020, Omar Narvaez has the second highest FRM, which is Fangraph's pitch framing metric, which is very trusted among league experts, and that's at 20.2, so really high up there for all catchers, right along the range of guys like JT Realmuto. For those who like Baseball Savant, he was in the 89th percentile of pitch framing last season, a season where he was pretty down offensively. He was still able to bring that defensive specialty to the table. For reference, Tomas Nido, who we all know is a very good defender, was 93rd percentile in pitch framing. So if for some reason Nido goes down with injury or the offense really isn't there for Nido this season, you have a very viable option in Omar Narvaez. With all this being said, though, I do think the Mets have some questions to answer. Are they going to be doing a 3-catcher system this year with Alvarez as a primary DH? Is James McCann going to be traded? And if not, how does Narvaez fit into this puzzle? The Mets have spent a lot of money recently, and I do think that $15 million was a surprising amount for someone of Omar Narvaez's caliber, but he's shown in the past, like in years in 2019 and 2021, that he can be a serious offensive threat. I can't really name a ton of great left-handed hitting catchers in the game right now. The one that came to mind in the past was Yasmani Grandal, but he came off a pretty horrendous season in 2022. So if you can get that 22 home run season like in 2019 or a 402 slugging season like we saw in 2021 from Omar Narvaez, I think this deal is well worth it. You're kind of betting on the upside of a guy like Narvaez. But with all this being said, it is a bit of a peculiar signing, and I'm not surprised that the initial reactions to it were a little bit confused, a little bit, why are we doing this? This is money we don't need to spend. But at the end of the day, it's not our money, and I'm sure the Mets are just giving themselves a little bit more options at a position that's been very, very weak in recent seasons. Really weak since the guys like Paul LaDuca and Travis d'Arnaud. We haven't seen stability at the catching position. The best we've seen really is 2019 and 2018 with Wilson Ramos, and that really is a far cry from effective production behind the plate, both defensively and offensively. So I'm very curious to see what Narvaez brings to the table. There is a scenario where this is a 3-catcher team, and I'm not sure how keen I am on that in terms of the stability and effectiveness of our bench. But Omar Narvaez is not a bad player. I think that he capitalized on a pretty weak catcher's market in this offseason. He was one of the most notable guys to be a free agent at the catcher position. And he's only going to be 31 years old, so not crazily old, but the catcher position does age a little bit more so than other positions. But at worst, it's a 1-year deal that doesn't work out, and maybe he exercises this player option, and the Mets have to eat a little bit more money. And at best, you get one of the better offensive catchers in the game, who's also a fantastic pitch framer and can offer a bridge from Alvarez from DH to catcher more fluidly and efficiently. So yeah, I don't hate the deal. I don't love it, and it's really dependent on what moves Steve Cohen and Billy Epler make after the fact to really rectify and explain the move itself. So I'm very curious to see what they do next, but the Mets signings continue to fall like dominoes. I'm sure we'll get another one in the coming days. But yeah, that'll do it for this little reaction on the Shea Station YouTube channel. Make sure to go check out our latest full episode on Kodai Senga. We do a little bit of analysis on him, and we'll see you guys soon.